want to for the first one?
Thank you so much for saying yes to this exciting first edition of this exciting curatorial dance program, where we actually get into the minds of the vigorous and expertise dancers in Europe and beyond. My first question, or our first question, as this is the topic of like the body, and also as dancers, it's almost like we're really like using the body outside of its just functionality of just walking, or just, you know, like the basic functionality of humanness in your body, and taking it from the functionality to another level of like calling upon things by dance, by movement. And our first question to you would be, firstly, like, what's your, like, maybe in a short sentence, what your journey into dance was, and then more deeply, what does that mean to you to use your body beyond its functionality, or whether you see like a correlation between the spiritual sense of like calling upon something by dance, by movement, and by the functionality of just like walking, like whether there's, you know, like there's so many movements everywhere, like everyone moves in certain ways, you know, and it's also part of, you know, this embodiment of ability as well, and what does that mean in the sense of the body, of the dancing body. But yeah, more broadly, like, what was your journey into the art of movement? Both of us? Yeah, one who wants to start.
So I always felt I loved to move since I'm a child already. I found it boring to just walk to places, so I always was jumping or turning or singing a song. So I guess at a young age I already started become a dancer unconsciously. And my mother taught me Philippine folk dance. So I think my mom was open, you know, has taught me the traditional dance, even though I've not been into the Philippines. My roots are in the Philippines, but I grew up in Germany. And and also Polynesian dance, and both dances have a connection, a very spiritual connection of telling a story. Each dance has a meaning and history, and then later on I started doing ballet, which is very, very academic, very structured, very disciplined, and that's where I got to see, okay, how can the body function? How can you train to become something more than just what we do in daily life? And there was a lot of training, which was hard, but through the structure I found I could evolve myself as a dancer, and I could see, how I can become a better performer, training the muscles, the mind. And but after one point I felt a bit bored, so after the school I needed more connection to, I don't know, to the soul. Working very physically and determined, but I missed the connection to the soul. So I went to hip-hop parties. That's where I found the soul again. Not that ballet doesn't have soul, it's just very different, and I felt very connected to the music and to the vibe, to the energy, the community. And that's when I started to do more connected hip-hop. Even I started rapping just for fun to try, or singing. I'm not really good in it, so that's why I stayed in dancing. But I was really connected to that, and that's where I felt, okay, this is really something that I love. And then going in between the physicality and strength as a contemporary dancer, mixed with techniques of the urban dance and the knowledge of the spirituality, also with Asian folk dance. I was kind of in between those worlds that made me what I am now, I guess. And I think in between I was trying to identify myself. I needed to find answer, where do I belong? But in the end, it's all a path and a journey that I guess we accept in a way, or we should accept. But I think it's very human to have that question to where are my roots, where do I belong?
They need to speak louder.
Oh, louder? Yeah, so I feel, yeah, that is my journey that I really appreciate. The potential of a body, but it won't work without the connection with the soul.
Thank you.
What about you, Nasheeka?
I think like my first impressions of dance probably was from the church, because my parents are very religious and we're both very active in the church. So I mean, I guess I was there before I even realized it. Like as soon as I was born, they were like, all right, Sunday, let's take her there. And so I was always kind of surrounded by a lot of music, a lot of stomping and clapping, you know, song and dance. And it's a Southern Black Baptist church, so in the United States, growing up in Louisiana. And I didn't understand it a lot as a child. I think more and more now I start to realize what I was witnessing and what I was even a part of sometimes. But now I feel that dance for me is like a release. It's something very cathartic. It's like a way to connect also, or to call on something, as you said, something that's very spiritual, but also to release something. And I think also through that release, then you maybe find some solutions or some new ideas. And so I think, yeah, this was kind of what I was witnessing all the time, because I grew up in this small church and we're all family, so you see each other throughout the week and you know everybody's business and you know all the drama.
Yeah.
But then, you know, on Sunday everybody comes all glammed up with the church hats. And I remember like seeing these men and women stomping and clapping and shouting, and then a lot of people would catch the Holy Spirit and they would speak in tongues and rolling on the floor and all over the place. And I don't know, that was something frightening, I think, as a child, but as I grew older, I really relied on, like, I sought that every time I was dancing. I was like, okay, I need to find this release, you know, because especially, I don't know, Black women in the States are very strong image and maybe not always so vulnerable. And that was a place where I could see this vulnerability, and it seemed so healing in a lot of ways. And so, yeah, I think I'm seeing dance in this way, and kind of seeing dance always like in the daily life. So always trying to push the notion of what movement is. So even in the functionalities of the body, of taking care of myself and getting myself from here to there, I'm also looking at what is the path and what is the dance, what can be a new solution or a new way to do it. And so it's all kind of going together to kind of heal the self, understand the self, and find new ways to be, I guess.
Okay. Thank you, really interesting. I guess you already answered a bit to this question, but I was interested in the way, like, as a dancer, I'm a dancer too, and we always constantly have this need to discover and dig more in different styles of dance, and how sometimes a specific dance style can reveal a new part of your identity. So what I want to know is, like, can you tell us a bit about why some specific style of dance touch you in a specific way, and why did you found for yourself in this specific dance style? It can be ballet, jazz, hip hop. What attracts you, and what information you keep for you and you use a bit later? Or feel free.
Yeah, I think, starting with different dance styles, I mean, for my mom, it was almost reconnecting back to my roots, and later on, I appreciated, because maybe in the young age, I didn't understand. But now when I look back, I don't speak Tagalog, the Philippine language, but I can dance the Philippine folk dances, and this is where I'm like very proud of, that my mom could give this to me. And now I use my choreography. I involve this dance in my work also, that I've learned as a child. So it kind of followed me, or it was always in me somehow. even though in between I didn't touch it at all. I was really training in ballet, and then ballet, which was I was very. I think my body was very capable, so teachers were really pushing me and say, "Oh, you're talented," and I enjoyed it. So I think through a lot of mentors pushing me in a direction, and the trust and the motivation, and I love to be challenged in a way. So I think technique is also a thing I like. Maybe it's the influence of ballet, so I really love to say, okay, how many pirouettes can I do today? Really, I love it. So I would like, yes. Maybe like a b-boy, how many hits can I do? Just with like ballet, and that really excited me. And that was the phase at that time of the young age, you know, you have so much energy, and later on it was more like, okay, clubbing, meeting people, community, and that's where I connected more to the hip-hop or urban dance scene. And the flow, the groove, the soul, as I said before, and I think that's when I tried to find the technique in hip-hop dance too. And then later on I went into voguing, also through friends. Georgina established also the voguing community in Berlin, and she was a good friend of mine, and so I get to know this style also, and she said, oh, you should try this and this. And I always have been curious, and I think being curious made me stay motivated and inspired. I don't know if I would stay in one style, if I would get bored at one point, but that's maybe my character. I need a bit of transformation. I really like that kind of...
How many styles do you dance? Honestly, like, I've seen you in contemporary, I've seen you in hip-hop, I've seen you in breakdance, I've seen you in, I've seen some, like, I think ballet influences for sure. I've seen you in so many dance styles. How many dance styles?
It's hard to say, like, how many. I think I've tried a lot, but it's not like when it's the point you master something. Like when they ask, okay, what is yours? Where are you specialized in? And then that's where I would say contemporary dance and hip hop. But it's like hard to answer because there were times where I was a lot into breaking and now times a lot into voguing. So it transforms like life, like the weather.
And can you name like the specific Filipino dance that you learned? Is there like a name for this?
We learned a lot of dances, but like itik-itik is one, the Filipino dance with kids. They're like birds flying, so we do a lot of these movements. And banga is the one with the pots, carrying pots. Pandango is a dance with lights, candles. Then we have singkil, we have tinikling with the bamboo sticks. Singkil is with 4 bamboos or more than 2, where we tell the story about the princess and the prince rescuing the princess. Sakoting with sticks. There's a lot of different kinds. And I think because there are many islands, so I think there are many styles of dance too. And I believe from when I was born in, or my parents born in the Philippines, immigrated to the US. I was born in the US, immigrated to Germany. Having Philippine roots, I felt like my whole life was a travel. And that kind of reflected on my dance too. This kind of searching and like, where am I from? I'm German, but I'm Filipino, but I'm an American passport. And I feel it's the same with dance.
Oh wow. That's the connectivity between you. Like, you both have American passport.
But I think it reveals something deeper about the condition of human beings that we often, in general study, try to catch us into one shape, but actually we are way more multiple. It's endless at the end. It depends on your curiosity. So till you have energy and curiosity for life and research, you can express yourself in so many different ways.
Yeah, it's true, and I think to allow yourself to change or to do what you love. I think I also did steps that many people didn't expect for me to do because they expected me to be a ballerina, but I loved hip hop, so I maybe have not disappointed, but not fulfilled some expectations, but I tried to follow kind of my my heart.
Yeah.
And then after that, I knew that whatever I do, if I love it, then I will do it well. And I think it's not always normal, because life maybe puts you in a situation where you think, okay, I have to do this job. And I think just to allow yourself to choose, I think that's
I think it's quite interesting that you got like that mentorship from your mother as well. And I read about you that you weren't allowed to dance at some point.
Yeah.
And you are from Louisiana, and you're also New Orleans, which is like quite a spiritual place.
Yes.
And I don't know if you heard about the story of the flying Africans. There's this like myth of the flying, like during the transatlantic slave trade, that there were, I think there were actually, it's an Igbo myth, if I'm not mistaken, of people who are descendants of enslaved Africans from, especially that area of New Orleans, Louisiana. They had this spiritual power to return back to Africa, and there's so many like lullabies and like so many this spiritual, I feel like, power in there. And I wonder, just in like a almost like a opposite to Joy, where you almost had to like fight your way through to dance. Like, can you tell us a bit about that journey? And also, like, you are really into like the futuristic. You're incorporating a lot of technology in your dance, which is like I've never seen before. And for that, like, for the expertise and the virtuosity that you've landed today, and also just like finding almost like your movement language back again. Like, why weren't you allowed to dance as well?
The funny thing is that I still don't know. I started dancing very young because an aunt, our very older cousin, had a company, like inner city youth dance company called XL Dance. And they were divided into like the girls, the guys, and like the older teenagers. And so I was with the young girls, called Sugar and Spice, and we were performing all over Louisiana, like opening for Juvenile, you know, like Master P, like a lot of the local Louisiana artists, a lot of like Family Day in the Park is what they would call it, where just people would get together. And then we had the chance to go to New York to perform at the Apollo Theater when I was 8. And I was so excited. I went, it was amazing. It was my first time like traveling without my parents and really being in a snowy place and on a subway and all of these things in a huge theater. And when I came back, my mom was just like, I have some bad news. Your father said that you can't dance anymore. And the way the family worked was like, okay, when my father would say something, it was like, that was it. So we just didn't question him. I didn't question him. And it was very clear in a way that because my mother told me that it was already, had been decided. And so I didn't dance until I was 17 or 18 years old again. And that was hard, but I was luckily enough that my parents were involved in the church, and so I was able to use that a lot. And so on youth Sundays, I was getting all my cousins and all of the kids. I was like, okay, we're going to choreograph this dance for Jesus. We're going to do this mime skit. We're going to sing. We're going to march. We're going to step, like all of these things. And so I tried also in school. I did gymnastics and theater. I tried sports. I played trumpet for several years, but nothing ever really stuck with me. And then, like, my junior year of high school, there was like this way where you could take dance as a physical education. And I was like, this is it, because now I can say that I have to, because you have to have a physical education. And so then I started to take dance and did ballet and decided to continue it. And I mean, there's sometimes I still have doubts, but it's a feeling, you know, it's something that I haven't been able to shake this whole time. And being able to like come back to dance and to feeling very autodidactic in my approach, because I wasn't able to learn technique and spend a lot of time with dance. I struggled with that a lot, but now I'm really using that to my benefit and to just try to explore really what's just innate, what's there, to use dance as a way to hack into all of those years when I couldn't dance, or to all of the ancestors before me. And so looking at dance also as a sort of technology. And then, yeah, as if I can write a code or something. Yeah, I don't know much about computers, but then it's like, still I'm trying to figure out, yeah, what is my way of movement? What is my language? Social dance was mainly the thing that I had, so barbecues, you know, doing the electric slide, all of these dances. And so going to clubs, like you said, this was always something very important. So I think overall, considering myself a contemporary dancer, I'm always reaching back to like this social aspect of the dance and trying to call upon something that's always there and always, or to try to break the fourth wall even with the audience, to bring them into the experience of the dance.
Okay, so we're really tight with time,
Yeah.
so we're gonna have one last question for you guys, and then we're gonna give you another question that you're gonna take with you for the Sakai Passé. And the Sakai Passé is actually you reacting to either a live sound art by Elsa M'bala, aka AMET, or Jessica Ikoman, where you actually almost like meditate to that question. Yeah. So Thomias is gonna ask you the last question.
Yeah. So the last question is, how do you imagine navigating your movement language in the future? It can be, it's a broad question, but you, yeah.
Okay. I think a lot of my work in Berlin has been very didactic, very educational, very activist, really a lot focusing on race and gender. And I'm at the point where I'm wanting to, find other approaches to make movement and to make work. And so the future for me is to make work that decenters whiteness and that empowers the voices of queer, Black, trans, indigenous, people of color, and to make work that doesn't rely on like oppressive systems like heteropatriarchy, imperialism, capitalism to exist really, and to try to continue to hack into really the movement in of my body, and also the memories of what's already in my body. And just kind of decentering Western hierarchies of dance that I've even put in my own mind. Maybe thinking like, oh, I never studied ballet, and this is the, if I would study ballet, I could be X, Y, and Z, and really trying to also understand where like colonial and racist structures also come into dance, looking at like the appropriations of dance from around the world that have infiltrated maybe contemporary dance techniques and other forms of dance. And so just trying to really look at dance from a Black queer perspective, and put that at the center, and just to really make work that has no limits except for my own imagination, and to continue to just like kill my darlings, like Kita says, like really just fight to always create something new, to keep writing the code, expanding what are the possibilities of movement.
Beautiful.
Agreed.
The future is a good question.
Like this time.
I never really always looked far in the future. I always like to enjoy the moment and enjoy the dance in the moment. But the more I get older, the more I have to think about, okay, where do I want to go when I grow older? How can I still move when I'm older? When I create movements, does the movement change? Maybe I cannot do certain moves anymore that I used to do. So I'm trying to embrace this, to the change of quality, the change of the body, but also still having the knowledge and the experience, and to use that, still continue using that in my work, in my art, which has where I appreciate different qualities of stillness and slowness. Before I was really quick, faster, and I was like, okay, time, like what is time? How can you play with dynamics and time and let it speak, or just leave it open to open for questions and by the viewers and myself. So also reconnecting to, because of all these different styles, I also get lost in it. That happens, and to maybe find a peace within and what I am now with all the colors, I guess, I have in me, and to accept that and see with the age, with the time, with the people that are surrounding me. And I really want to create work that also connects different styles, working with dancers, urban dance, contemporary dancers, voguing. So I like to give a platform for exchange of knowledge and experience and energy, because sometimes they're not reaching each other. The high culture and the subculture, I like to mix it up and to make it like, you know, non-hierarchical. Yes.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks a lot. And the question you're going to take with you is, tell us how your movement language speak to the beyond.
To the beyond.
Yeah.
That is the question you're gonna take
So,
for the Saka passé.
Yeah, Sake Passe in Creole.
Oh yeah, you can explain.
Mean is gonna happen. So in Guadeloupe, where I come from, the traditional music is goka. And goka is based basically on pure improvisation. Improvisation from the dancer, from the musician, from the singer. So yeah, so we named this concept the Sake Passe, and you're gonna take this question with you and suck it into your body and just express it as you want. So that's it. I'm excited to see that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
father of African nationalism. Nkrumah gave funds to other nationalist movements and preached the message across the continent.
This mid-20th century is Africa's. This decade is the decade of African independence. Forward then to independence. To independence now.
The father of African nationalism, 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 nationalism,
was quite interested in the fact that I wanted to continue. So she researched the schools, the ballet schools in Philadelphia. And I went to a school where we did ballet, classical, and we did also classes of modern dance. And one of the classes that we did was improvisation class. I mean, we really learned to improvise. And that was the thing where I could continue to express my own creativity and my own joy and my own style and find my own style. And we did a lot of different styles in this school as well. So I really could expand my vocabulary past just the classical dance.
I think also,
Yeah.
if I could put in, like, it would be nice to hear your experience as a Black woman in this very whitewashed
absolutely
environment in ballet, and also working in these companies that are very white. And also you mentioned that there's not so many, like there's no archive. And I think it's really telling of like how much of our stories, of our presence is not being visibilized, and is somehow also tends to like push further this like whitewashing of the art, of the whole dance movement art. So maybe like also experience as a Black woman in this space, and yes, to me, I said also like you're transitioning to Europe. If you can talk a little bit more about your experience in that realm.
Yeah, sure. Because this is really interesting. Of course, at that time, any Black kid going to ballet school was likely to be the only Black kid in ballet school. And so I was also like the only Black kid in my ballet school. And at the beginning, that wasn't a problem because we were all little kids. Yeah, I mean, we were like 8 and 9 years old, so that wasn't a problem. It was just a bunch of kids. But when I got more advanced and stayed in this discipline and this style of classical ballet, then it started, you know, I mean, dancers can be very competitive, so they find a way to try to make you feel diminished. And for me, as a Black ballet dancer at that time, it was really easy to make me feel diminished because I was the only Black kid there. Then people started saying, well, you know, dear, I mean, you're a very talented dancer, but your body just isn't made for classical ballet. You know, you don't have the right body for it, which was nonsense, but that's what they said. What I found out was this is what was said generally about Black people doing classical ballet. Generally, it was said, yes, well, they can't really do classical ballet because their bodies are different, you know, their muscles are different, and so on. So they should maybe do more modern dance, you know, trying to get us out of classical ballet. Or like Mr. Balanchine saying that the ideal of a ballet dancer, how she should look, like a freshly peeled apple, which sort of, you know, I mean, okay, if you leave the apple out for maybe half an hour, then the apple also looks like me. But this idea, the corps de ballet has to be uniform, and uniform means white, which is interesting because then I don't understand why they let us advance in their schools. You know, I mean, why did they let us advance just to at the end say, well, you can't do this? This I found kind of strange. So if they let me advance, they should also let me dance. And just when I was finishing high school, and I had gone really far, as you know, in the ballet world, but it was a consensus, there is no place for you. So maybe you should do modern dance, and then you can go to Alvin Ailey and he'll take you, you know. But my great fortune was just at the time when I was finishing school, Arthur Mitchell founded the Dance Theater of Harlem. And in this company, he gathered all of these people who had been told, well, dear, you're very talented, but you know, it's not for you. We were all in there. We were all there, and we all had that experience. And it was fantastic being in this Dance Theater of Harlem, because it was like the first time that I wasn't the only one. But there was a whole company of us. And of course we can do classical ballet. Of course we can. And because Arthur Mitchell had danced with Mr. Balanchine let us do his works. So he let Arthur do his works on his company. So that myth was completely destroyed. And yeah, but coming to Europe, well, I arrived in Europe in 1971. So being an American arriving in Europe, I was totally fascinated. I was totally fascinated. And my fate will have it that I came to the one place, the one company where race, gender, etc. made no difference. Mr. Bejar, he did not care. And, you know, so when I got there, I thought every place was like that. I found out later that it wasn't. But my introduction into Europe was very, very smooth and very, very welcoming. And this was also like the avant-garde of dance at that time. It was just like breathtaking what he was trying and what he was doing and experimenting with. There was really nothing like that. So that was, I was there for 3 years, and that was just fantastic. As soon as I was not within this company structure, being in Europe was kind of, I was in Brussels, you know, and like they have really a really hardcore racist past with their colony. It's really hardcore. And I was introduced to that in a way that was more extreme than I had ever experienced in the United States. You know, and I mean, in the United States, I had already also my dealings with the black-white problem as if there were no other colors, you know? I mean, either you were black or you were white, which leaves out like Native Americans and leaves out all of the Asians and so on and so forth. But I had my experience with that, but nothing like what I was living through in Brussels. You know, I mean, in the United States, people would hate you, but they would hate you as a person, you know what I mean? And the kind of racism I experienced in Brussels, it was like, they didn't even consider that I was a human being. I was considered less than human. So when I stayed within the context of dance and the dance company at that time in the 70s, it was totally open. And as soon as I moved outside of it, it was very, very, very closed. Yeah,
How do
and then
you
I came,
actually go from that experience? Like, how did you see your body transitioning from that experience, like how, as a dancer as well? Maybe like also in the on the imagination of floating while dancing. Like it seems like it's always been like as a Black person in this dance industry that you've always been diminished, and I guess I just wonder how you keep the resilience, so to say. Yeah.
ah, okay. I mean, it's really interesting to reflect on this as an older dancer, someone who's like had that all for many years, not actively dancing. But I think the resilience comes because of the love of what I'm doing. You know, when I was dancing, I was free. I was free. It didn't matter at all what others thought about me or who I was or who I should be or what I have, you know, what rights I have. It didn't matter because when I was dancing, I was in my body and communicating with other human beings. So as long as I kept dancing, as long as I kept dancing, I could be very, very free. I did not experience in the places where I danced in Europe, I did not experience within the company this kind of diminishing or this kind of disqualifying. Within the company, they were like little islands, It was like little islands. When I came to Cologne, I was, you know, training with the Tanzforum, and also there were no barriers there. But moving outside of that world, the dance world, it was very hard. And I know that people did not take me seriously because, I mean, who takes dancers seriously? So people didn't take me seriously outside. So I had a lot of things that hurt me, that were painful, that I kept inside because if I had begun to speak about them or speak up for them, first of all, I had no allies. You know, I was kind of isolated. There were no allies, or I didn't know them. They were there. I just never met them. But the dance was my place of freedom.
Talking about freedom and how you find your own freedom in the research of movement during all your experience through all this company and about innovating with Beja and Pinaboj. Then after all that, how did you move on? You continue to move on in the research of dance or for yourself through teaching?
Yeah, I think one of the ways that I had to keep my freedom was knowing that I was not wrong. You know, my body is not wrong and my thoughts are not wrong. There was, especially after I left active dance career, a lot of people trying to convince me that I didn't understand, I didn't really belong, or they were trying to convince me that in some way I was wrong. But I knew from all of those years and all of these fantastic teachers I had and so on, that I was not wrong. And the one thing that that kept this a place of freedom was the place of loving what I do and loving other people that I wanted to communicate with. I wanted them to see through my dance, through my movement, I wanted them to see what possibilities they have in their lives. It was not for me. I was like showing people, this can be your life. This is something you also have inside of you. So when I was teaching, of course, when I was teaching like technical stuff, I tried to get it right, make your body strong, make your body centered, etc. Don't give up. Don't feel sorry for yourself, which is like really important. But when I was teaching like improvisation and composition class, what for me was important was creating a space for people to find their own expression and find their own rightness, no matter what kind of body they had, no matter where they came from, no matter what issues they were going through. There's a space within your body that says, here, you're right. Here, you're right. This is who you are, and who you are is always beautiful. It's always beautiful. There's no exception to this. And for me, teaching was trying to create this space and to communicate that they are always right and always beautiful. So this makes me very enthusiastic, I guess you can tell. Because it's all connected with love, yeah? I started dancing because I love to move. I love teaching because I love watching people develop. So you connect to the things you love. And the rest of it, like the anger, the injustice, the searching, etc., that's in there anyway. So I don't have to always concentrate on that and make that the subject of what I'm doing, because it's there anyway. And when I'm teaching also, especially when I was teaching composition, a lot of young dancers, they start to, which I understand, they start by trying to express their pain. And what I really try to communicate to them is no one wants to see your pain until you can get so deep into what is pain that it becomes the pain of all of us as human beings. And then, yes, we want to see it. We want to see you express the tears that we cannot cry. Yeah. When you go there, yes, then we can see your pain. But much more, people want to see your joy. And your joy can look like something painful, But if at the bottom of it, it's your joy, then we will be able to, as audience, we will be able to accept and carry the pain. It becomes something that we share.
Really,
Wow, I just
really
have to take
powerful.
that.
What you just said is,
I'm learning a lot. Thank you so much.
yeah.
Well, you know, you're giving me the chance to do something that I love to do, which is to talk to younger artists about these things, because I think it's so important to, you know, like pass that on. One of my really great wishes is to develop a mentoring program for young dancers of color, to pair them up with older dancers of color who have already gone through all of this, and, you know, to have someone you can talk to, or to have someone who will give you some philosophical insights into what you're doing and so on. I really would like to do that. So that's something we can possibly keep in communication about.
Definitely.
Yeah. Our time is almost over. I'm in Tanzania, so it's a bit loud here, sorry. And I think like the last question that we would have is, or maybe like more of an inquiry, is like maybe your insight from the panel that you listened to with Joy and Nasheeka, like what was like maybe one thing that's stuck with you. And yeah, we hope to really invite you back and be present. And, like, yeah, I think you could actually hold a whole lecture.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm really sinking into your words, and it's really beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, this panel, I really enjoyed listening to, let me say, my younger sisters. There was something that I found very amusing, talking about, yeah, well, being an older dancer. And I thought, no, that's still coming. But I loved hearing the stories about where it came from. And like the idea, my mother taught me dances, you know, the dances of my people. My mother taught me that. I was fascinated because my mother was like really far away from that. And yeah, I mean, just to grow up with dance being something that that was natural, you know, like it was part of life. I thought, wow, that I would like to talk about that with them, because this is not what I had. This was not what I experienced. And then, yeah. Also,
that you also gave, right? Like it's. I think that you continued that cycle with Sophie, for example. It's almost like, yeah. So she's experiencing what you've never had to experience, which is, yeah, it's really beautiful as well.
Yeah, I'm very, very touched that Sophie came into dance, because of course I left it open for all of my children to do to go where they want to go. And I was very touched that Sophie also was coming into dance, and she's taking it places that I didn't take it, you know, like she takes the stick from me and runs with it. It's fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It was so passionate conversation. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really would like to come and be present with you and.
Yeah, but somehow we're gonna try to make it happen. I hope in the future. And also to have audience to, you know, it's just different when you have an audience and just to communicate directly with people that they feel it. And
yeah.
And to have a larger audience and yeah. So
yeah, this is just the beginning.
Yes, exactly. What does key actually mean?
Kiwi. That's my nickname. When I was in school, I got the nickname Q because in Philadelphia is called the Quaker City. And I was, for a certain time, a Quaker. And then I switched schools and went to North Carolina. And in North Carolina, there were no Quakers. So it got known that I was a Quaker. So they started to call me Q. And then with the years and years and years, it became QE.
Beautiful. Oh, thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you. And I guess we'll be in touch and see you as soon as I can.
Yeah.
And I will try to find some archive of you. I guess they are somewhere out there. I will try.
I mean, I have a couple of photographs, you know, but like video and so on, don't have it.
I will make some research.
History.
Yeah. Maybe you can share the photographs though. I don't know if that's like if you have time to like maybe take a screenshot or something. A screenshot. A photo of the photo. I don't know.
Yeah.
Thomias has already taken it into to like do the research.
Yeah, because it's important for me, I guess, because it's the legacy also, and I guess if you search well, we can find something to transmit it also, you know.
Yeah.
Okay. I can send you a couple of photographs.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.